Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to Get to Know the Candidate. And today we have a special edition with Caroline Menjivar, who is running for California State Senate. And she's going to tell us more about where her district is, what she wants to do, and her passion and why she's running. And also get to know her better. So if you have any questions, don't forget to get them on the chat. So I'm waiting for Caroline to join us. Hello, Caroline, and welcome. How
Hi,
are you?
Alma.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How's your Monday going?
Monday is going great. I'm gonna lower my volume here so that everybody's cool and people can hear us. If you guys hear an echo, let us know. But yeah, we're just settling in. So thank you so much for joining us here and get to know the candidate. I host these conversations with candidates for office right before the election so that we have the opportunity to get to know more people that are running for office. So how are you?
I'm good. I love this weather. I'm more of a gloomy person, so I'm right up my alley.
Yeah, I know we have, for those of you that are watching and are not from Los Angeles, the past week we had a pretty hot heat wave unexpectedly. So it's now getting cooler. So I feel you about, I definitely had a better night of sleep last night than a few nights ago. So I totally get it. So I'm excited to get to know you. I know that you are also an immigrant. Well, you're not an immigrant yourself, but your parents are immigrants. So why don't we start by you sharing with us a little bit about, who you are and your upbringing,
Yeah.
and just like tell us a little bit about who you are so we can get to know you.
No, thank you so much, Aura, for this opportunity. Like you mentioned, I'm a first generation Salvadorian. Mis padres son del Salvador. Both of my parents from El Salvador, but they met here in Los Angeles at adult school. And I'm their firstborn, first generation to go to college, first generation to even obviously run for office. This is all new. I born and raised here in the San Fernando Valley. I'm looking
Mhm.
to represent a district that is my backyard, a district that I grew up in. State District 20, for those of you who don't know, is half of the San Fernando Valley and the city of Burbank. It's the communities of color, it's the Latino community, it's the entertainment industry in Burbank, it's the working class community, middle class community area. I went to school here my whole life, all public school from elementary to graduate studies. Went to CSUN here in this area, and then I went to UCLA, Go Bruins, for my master in social welfare because I really wanted to give back to my community as a social worker. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, Auda. I served for 7.5 years in the Marine Corps. I was a radio operator stationed down in Miramar, San Diego. So everything I've done has really just been about giving back, serving the community, elevating especially the Latino community because I am Latina and I know the things that impacted my life to where I am now. So that's why I'm running.
Wow, amazing. And I also know that you're a dog lover. So
Oh,
that's worth
yes.
that's worth mentioning too, for like the people that care about the animals and such. So, I was also very excited to meet you and get to know you and also learn all these things about you that you have been of service, that you are a veteran, that you also work for the city before. I know
Mhm.
that a lot of people, when it's funny when you're running, they always ask you, "What kind of experience do you have?" And it's kind of interesting to see that is also a big anti, establishment sentiment. And we, as also people that are a little anti-establishment or that are not part of the, what they call establishment, is something that we hear often. So, how do you see your career being shaped by being also part of, I know that you work for Councilwoman Martinez and also for Mayor Garcetti. So how did that shape your career and your aspirations for running for office?
It greatly shaped it, right? Because as a staffer, I got a firsthand experience of what local government was. And if I wouldn't have liked it, I would have turned around and said, nope, I don't want to do I don't want to do government anymore. I can't do this. But I fell in love with it even more because it gave me the opportunity to work with the community. I put on projects. I got to walk the streets when I worked with Councilwoman Nury Martinez. I walked the streets. I got to know every single individual who was unhoused. I got to know business owners to talk about how we can make sure that their streets were clean, that people came to their businesses. I got to campaign to bring new resources to this district. But I also at the same time saw the gaps where
Mhm.
we were unable to further elevate some issues because the city did everything they were able to do, and now the state needed to step in. Which is why people ask me, if you worked in the city, why didn't you run for a city seat? Well,
Yeah.
it's because I saw all the city could do, but then after that, we needed support from the state, which is why I decided to run for state to bring that additional support to the city that so often we feel LA has to solve the issues or crises of the entire Southern California and
Mhm.
needs a lot of support. So that's how it's shaped. That my experience has shaped me to get here.
Wow, amazing. So I guess the natural question to ask right now, and for folks too that are tuning in, welcome. We are here with Caroline Menjivar, who is running for California State Senate. Elections are in June 7th,
Yes.
everyone. If you are not in the in with knowing that elections are coming, let me tell you that elections are coming. And in California, we have a mail ballot now elections, which changed a little bit in through the pandemic when we were quarantining. And I think it's a great way for us to participate. There's no excuses anymore.
No.
Plan early, plan with your family, let them know that that elections are coming. Ballots are dropping very soon. I believe it's May 29th or
The
Mother's
first week
Day.
of May. Yeah, by May 9th.
There
Hmm.
you go, May 9th. Elections are, ballots are dropping. So if you have any questions for Caroline, please post them in the chat and I can bring them in for her. I wanted to ask you, of course, this is the $1 million question. Why do you want to run for a state senate?
You know, people become teachers, people become social workers because of their previous experience, right? A lot of the jobs that people get into is because they had either a positive or a negative experience in that entity, and they want to create change there. It's the same thing for me. Auda, we can talk about my background and how single mom and struggle to pay our bills when we were kids. We got evicted from our house. We had a couch surf with my tias, my tios, and friends until we found an affordable apartment. I had to start working at the age of 15 because I saw my mom how she had to take care of so many things, and I didn't want to further burden her with financial things. And it's these experiences that motivate me to run for office because not everyone goes through those experiences. Some schools offer better resources, some parks are more maintained than others. Some communities have sidewalks everywhere where other communities don't. And it's that inequity that has propelled me to run because I don't think it's fair that once you cross the 405 freeway in the San Fernando Valley into the East Valley, everything changes. And it shouldn't be like that. We are literally a mile apart from each other of different resources, of more green, of more trees, of better air quality. So I always say that I was given a voice. There's certain individuals that are have this innate feeling and have the ability to speak up when they see injustices. And I want to make sure I utilize that voice to its full potential, which is why I'm running for office because
Mhm.
I believe my unique experiences, my professional personal experiences have made me a very unique person to push policy that would really impact this community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to lose any momentum here to educate my own community. This is why I invite candidates like yourself. But in case people don't know what a California senator does,
Yeah. What do we do, right?
in case my folks don't know, can you
Yeah.
please share with us what is the job of a senator in a state, in at least in California? Can
You
you
know,
share
most
with us?
yeah, most people are focused on their mayor and their city council member. That's
Yeah.
it. So there are 40 state senators in the state of California, and
Thank you.
each of them represents about 1 million people. But you can imagine that that's an undercount. There are so many communities, especially this community, that was undercounted during the census. The state senator, alongside with the 80 assembly members in the state of California, go to Sacramento 9 months out of the year, Monday through Thursday, and push legislations that's going to impact the entire state. So,
Mhm.
Auda, while I'm looking to represent the Valley and Burbank, everything I do in Sacramento, it's going to impact you
And whoever is watching.
and
So wherever
whoever's
you are at, actually let us know on the chat. Where are you tuning in from so we know, how this also affects you.
Yeah, so I think everyone should be invested in whoever gets elected as a state senator or assembly across the state of California because it impacts all of us and what they push. So during the pandemic, it was the state legislation that pushed for paid family leave, that pushed for ensuring that we got extra sick pay during COVID-19. Things like that came from the state. The state provides extra funding for municipalities to address issues. The state brings grants to the communities. The state is in charge of the cleaning up the freeways. Haven't you noticed, Aura, when you drive on the 210, if you're going ever to Big Bear, the freeways are clean. There's no dirt,
I
trash
know, but
anywhere.
when you get to Orange County, it's kind of
Beautiful.
crazy.
It's beautiful. But the freeways in our areas are not like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not equitably being distributed, these resources. And your state senator can help with that. Everything on freeways, on state property, EDD, it's a monster of a department. That is issues that your state legislator can help you with. Disability insurance, stuff like that to help with applications, driver's license, the DMV are all state programs that your state legislator can help navigate through them. And also just to bring community together, state legislators can promote awareness of resources, can partner with nonprofits to bring community events and resources to this area.
Yeah. So okay. So that's good. So I think everybody is kind of on the same page now. We know that we elect folks per district, but they vote basically. Their votes are affecting all of us. So they're kind
Hmm.
of the votes are at large. We talked about your upbringing, your background with, being a veteran and also an EMT.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
I
You're a
worked in the
social worker
ambulance.
too.
Yeah.
You're a social worker too. And now I want to talk to you about what is your vision? What is it that you want to do as a senator when you become a senator? What are some of the things that we need to know that we can support, and what are your platform,
Yeah.
your aspirations for our state?
California is the fifth largest economy. We can really solve so many of our crises. We just need individuals that go in and be the champions for them. You mentioned I'm a social worker. I'm of the firm belief that there's so many things that tie into why certain adults are the way they are, why adults have onset anxiety when they're young adults, why, there is trauma in the household when they're older. There's so many things that could be prevented, why substance abuse is used when they're with young adults. It's
Mhm.
because so many things happened at a young age that we never interjected, we never addressed the situation. And once they're adults, it's not that it's never too late, but it's a little harder, right, to
Mhm.
break those habits. I'm of the belief that we need to be very proactive in addressing these issues. I want to make sure we bring a robust mental health system to the state of California because this is very cheesy, but
Mhm.
love is the answer for a lot of things. And when I say love, I'm talking about providing the care and need for our youth in high school, in elementary and middle school and high school, to make sure these kids aren't falling through the cracks. Because after they graduate, society turns their back on them and say, "Oh, you're an 18-year-old adult. Figure it out now."
Mhm.
But you and I both know, we don't fully become adults until like 24, 25.
The science also says it. I mean, this
The
isn't
brain
something
isn't
that I'm like
developed.
making up. The brain. It's so sad, and we can maybe dive deeper on this. But it's so sad to see we are treating kids as adults, especially when they commit crimes. When we know ourselves that, I mean, the science says that
Yeah.
our brains are not even developed
They're
at
not.
age 21,
They're not.
So we're still making very primal decisions. But that's a whole other conversation that we can
Yeah.
have. So go on.
So it's the research to make sure they have access to vocational training, to make sure that when they graduate high school, they know that they're going to college or they're going to get a great vocational skill train. Our environment, our entertainment, our production is moving a lot into computer engineering, computer science, mechanical engineering, plumbers, labor, construction. You know how many houses we need to build? 2.5 million units in the state of California. Who's going to build that? We need the labor. We need engineers, electricians. But where are the programs to prepare our youth, our young adults for these kinds of jobs? So I want to make sure we're bringing those resources. I want to make sure we reimagine how we fund our schools, and it's no longer we're funding schools through attendance, but more on enrollment. I also want to make sure we combat our environmental injustices in this area. There was recently an article in LA Times about the bad quality of air that we have here. My favorite place is when I go to Big Bear, I go to Yosemite, I go to the local Angeles Forest because I can actually breathe fresh air there. But I shouldn't have to drive 2 hours to get a good breath of fresh air. That's not accessible for everyone.
Right.
We need to make sure that when you exit your home, it's as if you're in the mountains, wherever you are, because that promotes good health. Good health promotes your ability to go to work every single day. You're not missing out of work, or you don't have to stay home because your kids are suffering from asthma and you have to care for them. It is all connected. Environmental injustices are pushing down our communities from obtaining more wealth, from obtaining those promotions because of the things it impacts. So I want to make sure we reimagine the various airports I have in this district.
Yeah, tell us for the folks that are watching, because I think this is such an interesting fact that in your district there are 3 different airports. Explain to me, why do you guys need so many airports in your area?
Yeah,
Who is coming in and out?
We have Van Nuys Airport in Van Nuys, Whiteman Airport in Pacoima, and then the Burbank Airport. In Burbank. Burbank Airport, it's utilized. I'm not touching that at all. That's residential, meaning it's not just private, right? You have you and me type of people going to Burbank and then flying out. The Whiteman Airport in particular is of recent interest, and it comes and goes. It's not that it's just completely recent, but in the past year, 2 airplanes have crashed in this area. One fell on the train tracks in Pacoima, and the other one fell on a house in Pacoima. Because it is literally, a homeowner can step out and they see the airport right in front of them. And it's not an airport that is being utilized by the community that lives here, by members that live here. These are individuals that come in because they have their plane there and they live elsewhere. And it's not directly impacting this community in a positive manner. And the area doesn't want it here. What they want, Aura, I've seen at the community meetings, I've seen the post-its of people that say, what do we want to see here? They want an open space.
Yeah, they want a park.
They want and not just a park, we want a park that has a running track, that captures water, that is a human-made lake. I want a park that you have in Balboa Park or an eco park where you can, go on those little
recreate, have fun. Yeah,
recreation is there. It's educational. You can bring field trips there of kids to learn about nature, the different types of plants, the trees. There's an amphitheater there you can utilize. That's what the community wants, and I want to make sure I bring a voice of that to Sacramento to work with county and federal counterparts for that.
Okay, and then, awesome. Yeah. So we're talking about, so you're definitely bringing an angle that not a lot of people are talking about, which is mental health services. We haven't talked a lot about unhoused homelessness, but we should, because I think this is very present in people's hearts and minds. There is a growing sentiment, anti-homelessness sentiment. I think people are starting to grow tired and impatient about finding solutions. I want to hear from you. What's your global take on homelessness? So why is this happening? And what solutions do you think we can bring forward at the state level to address these issues that are so tangible and local?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, Aura, we have the funds for this. This is an emergency right
Yeah.
now. Let's look at it the same way we looked at a pandemic. We're losing individuals. People are losing their lives out on the street. Recently, an unhoused veteran died in West LA in front of West LA VA.
Mm,
Yes, he was stabbed and killed. We have the highest concentration of unhoused veterans across the entire country.
mhm,
I'm a veteran. This is personal to me because if you have veterans that served and are now sleeping on the street, we failed. We failed as a country. But outside of that, we have an increase of women now on the street, which we hadn't seen, but we're slowly seeing an incline of unhoused women
mm.
because a lot of them, more than half of them, have experienced violence, interpersonal violence, sexual assault, and we're looking at treating it just as an umbrella. We need to make sure that when we're looking at bringing housing, we're thinking about housing for domestic violence victims. We're thinking about housing for human trafficking victims. In this area, I think we only have one or two, if I'm not mistaken, that specifically is housing these types of individuals.
Mm.
We need to increase our outpatient and inpatient beds for those suffering from substance abuse because right now they have to wait months on end. And then where are they waiting? On the street.
Yeah.
And that could be a life or death situation. Or if there is a bed, it's like 30 miles away. But no one wants to go that far. This is their home. They want to make sure they know where they're surrounded. So we need to make sure we bring the funding for that. We need teams, not just one team. We need more. We need a lot of multidisciplinary, that word tongue ties, teams going on the street and addressing these issues because right now it's our jail systems that are being our mental health facilitators, and they're not trained for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is such a huge issue because now there's been so much emphasis on housing, and you can live in a mansion. And if you don't have the right support, emotional support, the right resources to get you back on your feet, whether it's do you need a training program so that you can find a job?
Mhm.
Do you need the right health care support after maybe going to trauma? We know that so many of the folks that live on our streets have gone through such traumatic
Yes.
situations. So we can't, and also, of course, substance abuse, which is killing people all the time. And I have been a big supportive of harm reduction. So how
Safe
I think
injection sites.
exactly, yeah, and
Yes,
I know that's quite.
I know.
I know that people feel very unsettled about these ideas, but I want to remind folks that this saves lives,
Yes.
and it's important for us to also understand that people that are struggling with drug abuse, this is beyond them. It's a disease.
Hmm.
Sometimes they don't have choice. So it's very refreshing to hear you talk about this approach because for so long we just talk about tiny homes and dorms and that type of housing, and housing in LA is costing 500, $800,000
Right.
to house somebody. And it's so sad to see the rhetoric too from some folks that are pointing at, well, homeless people are getting $800, you're getting 1,000. And it's just this very like I said, anti-human,
Hmm.
in my opinion, rhetoric that we see, every day. How are you planning to address issues of affordable housing? Because I think this is the other piece that a lot of
Yeah.
people start with, like, all right, I have a roommate, and then like, oh well, I live in my car, and now that's really hard to
Yeah.
do. And now I'm like couch surfing, and now I'm like pitching a tent somewhere because I really don't have anywhere to go. So, what's your approach to housing, especially when housing policy at the state level is so important for us at the local level?
Yeah, it is 1,000% important. I am of the mindset I want to make sure local municipality gets the first pass at addressing these issues, right? Because they're really on the ground. They know their community a lot more, right?
Mhm.
But there are certain times that local municipalities are taking too long to pass initiatives, And that's where the state needs to step in. I think about this right now. There are various different departments that nonprofit developers have to go through to get permitting for housing.
Yeah.
For starters, we need to make sure that we make a one-stop hub for these developers, for these nonprofits, so that they're not wasting a lot of their time prolonging it. This is why it's taking 3 years, 4 years to construct anything, because they have to wait for each department for their stuff to get back. So for starters, we need to streamline that. Second,
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
thinking about cutting a lot of the fines and the money that these developers had to pay when they're holding a land or when they're holding a project, because they'll have to hold it so no one else can buy it, and they're paying upwards of $30,000 in interest every month for a building that's not even being utilized.
I know.
The state has the ability to do by right housing. They do that for Project Room Key. They do that for Project Home Key. We need to do that more, to step in on the state and says, okay, we'll do by right. We don't have to pay that interest. And when we RFP'd, meaning when we put out a bid, then they can take it on and they can start paying, because it'll start already the construction. Because everything, that's how we can step in. We can provide consulting teams for a lot of local municipalities who are saying, I have nowhere to build. I have no land. Everything is taken. They need the support from the state. And we can bring that to say, hey, this is a consulting team that's going to help you find how to build better affordable housing. And then lastly, I'll say we need to all be on the same page, Anna.
Yeah.
The pandemic showed us that as a state, we're not on the same page. You could have driven 1 mile to Ventura County and eaten in a restaurant without proof, or
Which I
and
did, by the way. I went to Ventura. I'm gonna just be clear. I mean, people know. You guys all know about my trips and my hikes and my love to nature. This isn't new for anybody here. So.
but we need to be on the same page. And in
Yeah.
housing, we're not on the same page. Everyone has their own separate deadlines for funding. And if you miss one, you have to wait a whole nother year. No one's on the same page. We ourselves are making it harder, and we ourselves can get rid of that red tape.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, excellent. Of course, I want to talk to you about sustainability.
Mhm.
But before that, I want to also mention, I don't know if this happens in your area. In my community, there's a lot of multi-generational families living together. We have grandparents, grandkids, paps, moms, tios. Everybody's like living together because they cannot afford to live alone. And then we see this very in America, we see it a lot. People build, like, their parents have their home and then their kids build on top or in the back or on the side, and then
The
suddenly the whole
ADUs,
block
yeah.
is owned by by the same family. But that's like a very it's I've seen that, for example, in Spain, done a lot too, where like parents own their apartment and such. So I want you to to remind you that this is also happening and it's a huge issue. And I ran for office in 2020 locally for city council, and people used to tell me all the time, they're like, do you really think we have a solution? Like, my kids live with me and I don't want that. Or my kids graduated from college and they have such huge student debt that
Yeah.
they cannot afford to go live on their own. So what can we do at the state level to also alleviate this issue of student debt, that it seems so national, right, and federal?
Yeah.
But there's got to be something that we can do here at the state level.
There's a couple of things like I think about. Okay, so there are a lot of different types of jobs that give programs for student debt forgiveness. If you're a teacher, if you're a doctor, you have to serve a couple of years or whatever years, and then you get forgiven. We need to make sure we're increasing that across entities.
Mhm.
We have a huge shortage in teachers. Why
Yeah.
is that? Because we're not providing incentives for a job that is really much needed. Without teachers, we're never going to have doctors. We're never going to have nurses. We're never going to have the future president. We need our teachers, right? So we need to make sure we create programs at colleges, at universities that pay for their funding, pay for tuition, so they come out of college without any debt, right? Without any debt. We need to make sure that we incentivize these individuals to work in these jobs. Right now, did you know that residents who are training to be doctors get what's called a housing stipend to be
Mm,
able to live around these areas? Those are the kind of programs that we need to make sure are pushed for other jobs. Housing stipends to move to areas where we need teachers, where we need nurses, where we need, again, doctors. I also want to make sure that in our state, we are passing universal childcare because that's really what's holding a lot of people back.
especially women,
Of course, women. More
especially
women,
women.
more women graduate with a law degree, but more men practice law
Yeah,
because women have to come back and be at home. These are the things that when you talk about how can we help with student debt, how can we help with affordable housing, there are things outside of that we need to address that's really dramatically going to be able to help people afford housing. Because right now, the same amount to pay for babysitting is what you're paying for rent. It's exactly the same thing.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
It's
mhm,
really problematic. And I'm glad you're talking about, childcare and student debt, and how, all these issues are also interrelated and are affecting women in a higher rate than men, unfortunately. All right, so let's keep going. I saw so many people chiming in earlier when you were talking about sustainability and methane and such.
mhm,
So let's talk about green.
mhm.
Let's talk about environment. My background is in environmental policy. I have been an environmental advocate and an activist since I was a child, working on climate change issues. And one big thing that I like, the big trend right now is electrification.
Yes.
So, how do we continue reducing our reliance on fossil fuels by, not using appliances that utilize, for example, gas? And also, the latest studies is that even, I have a gas stove, I'm a renter, and my gas stove right now, I'm not using it, I'm not making anything, is emitting methane and is emitting
Mhm.
other gases inside the home that are very harmful to our health. And for a long time we didn't know that. Now it's a little more known. There's more studies that we can rely on. And in a lot of our communities, we have a lot of people living in small apartments and breathing that air.
Yes.
And electrification is important. And earlier we talked about housing. So I want to hear from you a little bit about your environmental agenda,
Mhm.
and what do you think about electrification, and how do you think we can champion this at the state level? There's a couple of bills already going, but the fossil fuel industry still has so much influence
A lot.
and state legislators. So just tell us a little bit about your environmental background, environmental platform.
Goes, yeah, absolutely. This is very important for me. I know there is a mandate for us to move towards electric vehicles by 2030, I believe, or I might be missing that date. But however, there aren't mandates for gas stoves. There aren't mandates for our air conditioners, right?
Right.
Those are things where the state of California can step in and push. Aura, if your oven were to break right now, they would replace it with another gas oven.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we need mandates for retrofitting and replacing what's broken.
Yeah.
Let's replace that with electric ovens. Let's make
Mhm.
sure that everything that's being broken, that's not, I'm not telling everyone go out and break your gas oven, but
Because we haven't passed this policy yet,
because we
people. So
haven't, there
hold
isn't
tight,
something to support you
join the
yet.
movement,
Yeah,
organize with us. We're
yeah.
not there yet.
But we need to push policy for everything that's to be retrofitted needs to be clean energy
Yeah.
moving forward. That's for starters, because the moment we start doing that, that means the demand for fossil fuel is going to go lower and lower,
Mhm.
right? If we start changing those, then we can say, hey, we're not beholden under your power anymore because we don't need that much. We need to provide incentives to multifamily dwelling apartments because when we talk about solar, when we talk about all these things, a lot of times it only applies to homeownership, right? We need to think about the renters who want to compost in their apartment, who want solar on their apartment buildings. If we provide programs where we incentivize the property managers to have solar, and then in turn it goes down to every single tenant's bill, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
If we can ensure that we have community gardens inside apartment buildings where apartment buildings are growing their own food for the whole tenants there, that's what we need to ensure. We need to also ensure that when we talk about electrical vehicles, we have the infrastructure in place first. Because where are the charging stations right now? There's not enough, nowhere near enough for the people who need it. And we need to increase the electrical vehicle sharing programs in communities that really need to change their air quality. So, and then last thing I'll say is that I know there's something being worked on this on heat pumps. Heat pumps
Yes.
are,
To
yes,
make them solar, to make them. Israel is done that. They did
everyone
this
has done
100 years
except us.
ago. They did this a long
Mhm.
time ago. Germany, this is the first adaptation that they did to solar too. So we're a little behind, and I'm glad
Super
that I
behind.
can see that happening
Yeah.
now.
Ada, we just need to make sure we elect people who, it's not, sometimes these are not new ideas. This
Yeah.
is just, you need people who are supportive of these ideas.
And who's gonna fight for these things? Because I can tell you, as someone that I have been an environmental justice advocate for so long, we need fighters because
Mhm.
it's so easy. I mean, you also need somebody that is gonna be able to collaborate with with
Mhm.
labor, with the unions, and
Mhm.
also create that blue green alliance. And I know that on environmental issues, we can create so many green,
Oh
good
my,
paying,
crazy.
like
Yes.
union jobs.
Mhm. Oh
we
yeah.
can, we can. It's just we need to find a way, and we need to work together to make sure that we do that.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, so I know that you're talking about support and getting people elected. So tell us, what is your district? So whoever is watching, or if you
Yeah.
have a friend, they can forward this live stream to them.
Mhm.
So what is your area? What are we looking at in terms of people that can vote for you?
So we're looking at the entire city of Burbank, the beautiful city of Burbank, where right now I'm pretty sure people go to get their portos, the AMC, the entertainment, just walkable, beautiful cities there. But
Perfect. In the
also,
house. Let's go.
yeah,
Okay.
half of the San Fernando Valley is in this district. So you have the West Valley and the East Valley, Canoga Park, Winnetka, Reseda, a little bit of Northridge, Van Nuys, Lake Balboa, a little bit of North Hollywood, Pacoima, Sylmar, Arleta, North Hills, Shadow Hills, Sunland Tahunga, Lakeview Terrace, and Sun Valley. Hopefully, Panorama City, that's where I live. I missed where I live.
Okay, so all these communities can vote for you.
All of them,
Voting
yeah.
it. So just remember, mark your calendar for Mother's Day. You not only need to find a gift for your mama, but also you need to make sure that you plan ahead to do your vote, to vote by mail. That's when the mail ballots drop that first week of May.
Mm-hmm.
And elections at last day of elections is June 7th, but now
June
we have a
7th.
long, you know, leeway to vote. So what are some of the things that people can do to support you? And I have here on the screen how they can get in touch with you. But what are some of the things that people can do to support you?
Yeah, first make sure that you get your friends and family to vote, right? Because it doesn't really, you don't have to go to strangers. You have a network of friends and family that you can be accountable for to vote. So, like Autumn mentioned, you get your ballots the first week of May. The last day to vote is June 7th. And if you want to vote in person, you have 10 days before that to vote in person.
Mhm.
I also need support with volunteers. You want to volunteer? Do
Organize
you?
money and organize people, guys. If you
Yes.
can donate, donate. But if you can't, go for
Then
it.
contribute. Yeah, money is money, and people are money too. Because you can knock on doors with me, tell people about my campaign and my story. You can phone bank with me, call people, text people. You can download an app to have a script of my story to just send to your friends and
And
family.
this is to the
Outreach circle.
outreach circle. So we'll send you Caroline can put, if you have there we go. I'm gonna add it on the chat right now. Outreach
Yeah.
circle. Is there a special, if we search your name, can we find it?
Yeah, I can send it to you too.
Yeah, I'll put it somewhere in the chat or in the social media.
And then, but if you don't have time to volunteer with me, donate. Contribute to my campaign. If you're thinking I'm asking you for $100,000, I'm asking for 10, 20, $20. If you have a little bit more than that, then $50, $100 to my campaign, because that's how we get the mail in front of individuals. That's how we're able to pay for texting. Every single text that we send costs money. Every single list of maps that I get to go knock on doors costs money. So that's where I need the support. And especially Auda knows, but I broke my ankle canvassing.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, I broke my ankle canvassing like 4 weeks ago. And now I can't really walk as much. It hurts. So I need people to lend me their legs or to help pay for mailers, since I have to depend more on mailers than that.
Wow, amazing. Okay, so I'm going to post here on the chat the link to support. If you're at home, explain a little bit how the outreach circle works.
Absolutely. So how Outreach Circle works, it's an app that you download on your cell phone, and then it has already scripted the messages you can send on text or email, but to your own contacts in your own phone that live in this district. So you can say, hi, my name is Mark, and I just voted for Caroline, reminding you to vote and why I think you should vote for Caroline. It's easy like that. You don't have to join my phone banks. When they're scheduled, you can do it at any given time, walking, watching a show, the comfort of your home.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. And I know that other campaigns have used it, and I'm so excited that you're using this tool because I think it's great. And you can just text people, right? It just kind of connects to your phone and it just tells you.
It's a mass text.
So everybody has it on the chat now. I hope that you guys can please forward this live stream to other folks so that they can get to know Caroline and also get, ask her questions and come support. You'd be surprised how incredible it is and how many people can find you through social media. So do not miss the opportunity. If you're watching, please do us a favor and go ahead and share this with your networks and let them know. Give them the opportunity to get to know Caroline also with her Q&A that we had today. All right. So lastly, some last thoughts. Oh, yeah, I live in Panorama City and I would like to help. There you go.
Yes.
You go, Brooke Bros 22. That's the spirit. Thank you so much for doing that. The link.
Send me a DM too if you want. You can DM me. I'll also put my email address in here. Send me an email.
There you go. We have direct messages going to Caroline. Let her know. Like I said, Brooke, you live in Panorama City. Not Panama City. That would be amazing, but we don't live in Panama City. In Panorama City, please forward this live stream when I post it in a few minutes to some people in your network so they can, or post it on your stories or such so that other people in your community can get to know Caroline. So you see, this is the beauty. And this is why I invite folks to come and speak with me. Some last thoughts, anything that you want to leave us with? Oh, no, wait. I forgot. I usually ask candidates, what is, the most endearing, like the best part of you running for office, and what has been the most challenging
I'll start with the most challenging.
Yeah. Give us examples, because I feel people sometimes they don't know how hard it is to run for office and how much it takes.
Yeah. So I have to call people, random people I've never met before, and say, will you give me money for my campaign? Even though you don't even live in this area. But, I just have to say my best pitch on the phone for them to give me $50, $100, $200. Right. That's hard. And you get a lot of people who don't pick up, who just hang up on you.
Yeah.
The best part is meeting new people. Gosh, I'm very upset that I broke my ankle because I love door knocking.
I
I
know, me
love
too. I love door
people invite
knocking.
me in. I have tea. I've had tea. I've had coffee. Like they'll give me food, and we get to talk one on one. And I get to hear from the constituent of what it's like living in their community. What can I do to help, and how we together can change this community. So that's my favorite part. It's meeting new people that hopefully Book Rose 22 will reach out, and I get to meet them and create some change.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's funny because the hardest part for me was, I come from like an activist background, from an organizing background. And to me, the hardest part was to navigate kind of the politics, the charky waters. And what
Hmm.
I mean is you have people that you have worked with, that they know who you are, that they know what you want to do, and they don't support you, or they say, well, I'm waiting, I don't know. And it's so heartbreaking, like, to me, that like to see that behavior. I think that was like the hardest thing for me, or to like, yeah, like navigating the sharkiness. That's what I call, like, just like people playing politics. Well, if this person helps you, I help you, or it's all, what I'm talking. I like to keep it real with people. I like to keep it real with people because I think it's important that they know what it takes and how hard it is. I think, Caroline, I lost you on Facebook, by the way. Oh, okay, it already died. Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, so we lost you, but we love you. And then, like, for me, the best was, of course, meeting people too. But I know we lost you on Facebook and on Twitter and everywhere else, but we still have you on Instagram. I want to thank you so much, and thank everyone that is watching for being here and for spending their lunchtime with us. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you. I really hope that you get to where you want to be, and that you get to be an elected official. We need more people like you actually elected in representing us. So I hope that everyone that watched today feels compelled with your story and feels that this is the time to share this message wide and bright to everyone, so that more people can get to know who you are and support you. So thank you so much, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. All right. Bye bye.